Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Mensa International presentation, Psychosocial Skills for Gifted Success. My name is Joy Lynn, and I am a PhD candidate of Gifted Education Leadership at the University of Denver, and I'm also a Gifted Youth Coordinator with Denver Mensa. I'm here because I'm passionate about supporting the career development and well-being of the gifted and the professionals who support us. You can find me at Joylyn Co. or joy.lynn@du.edu. Today, I'm going to talk about 4 topics: the gifted at work, psychosocial soft skills, strategies for soft skill building, and next steps. The gifted at work. Gifted people may have many strengths at work. They might be successful with complex tasks. They can work autonomously. They're curious and passionate, sensitive and emotional, and often enjoy being creative. But gifted people might also struggle at work, and they may have difficulty making choices as a result of their multipotentiality. They may struggle with communications with coworkers and supervisors. They may have psychosocial problems and may struggle with how to talk about giftedness with their peers. We see that the gifted are often unhappy when they are not challenged, when the work is not interesting for them, when they work in bureaucratic, rigid cultures. In a research study, van der Waal et al. Found a pattern of labor disputes of gifted employees. They found that frequently a gifted person would suggest a new idea. They'd have a creative way to improve a system, or they'd see a issue in the structure or systems. And too often the supervisor would dismiss the idea without adequate explanation. And often the manager or supervisor would feel challenged and threatened by the gifted person's constant suggestions for improvement. And this led to a pattern of friction, conflict, and damage for the employee. And we see this also in the school setting, where sometimes students might critique or make suggestions for a teacher, and the teacher may not be always receptive to that feedback. In other research by Knox-Nauta and Corton, they examined characteristic statements made by gifted employees and people in their working environments. So often the working environment would notice some things, but the employee would state other things. And there are great examples in this table on the screen, but I'll just highlight a few. While the working environment might notice many conflicts with management and authorities, the employee might state, "I have a great sense of justice." The environment might notice bad timekeeping, for example, in meetings, while the employee might notice, "I'm being held back all the time. It all goes so slowly." The working environment might notice strongly fluctuating performance without any clear cause, while the employee states, "I have no idea what I want. I find almost everything interesting," touching on that multipotentiality again. The environment might notice that the gifted employee is difficult to approach and not social. And the employee might state, "I dislike social talk." The working environment might notice that the gifted person makes all kinds of demands about the work environment, while the employee might state, "I can't understand how other people can work in that noise or with those flickering lights," etc. This really can show the disconnect of the experience the gifted person is having, both internally, but the experience they're having with their peers and colleagues in the work environment. Because of this, there are psychosocial soft skills that we can encourage and work to nurture in our gifted population to help them be more successful. Olszewski-Kubilius and friends developed a list of many psychosocial skills, and I'm going to talk about them in 3 stages. So there's several psychosocial skills for all stages of talent development. There's emotional self-regulation, including the ability to relax and regulate arousal, the ability to cope with challenges, and resiliency, and the ability to cope with failure. There's cognitive self-regulation, the ability to focus and the ability to control concentration. There's social skills, such as nurturing collegiality. And there's metacognitive self-regulation, such as time management and organizational skills. These skills, emotional, cognitive, and metacognitive self-regulation and social skills, these are important for gifted people at any stage of their talent development, from very early careers to later stages. And several psychosocial skills were identified for nurturing the talent of gifted people toward levels of expertise. So these skills included regulation of one's own learning, capitalizing on strengths while minimizing weaknesses, supportive social networks, emotional regulation, acquisition of insider knowledge, which can come from mentors or internships or research, and integration into the social culture of the domain. Nurturing these psychosocial skills for gifted learners can help them achieve expertise in a talent domain. In their research, Olszewski-Kubilius also noticed several psychosocial skills important for eminence, such as personal meaning in the domain, which relates to a gifted person's passions and interests, having an ability to cope with stress, having social charisma, avoiding entrenchment in one narrow field, and fostering the cross-pollination of ideas. And once again, that very important acquisition of insider knowledge. How do you work within that specific field? These psychosocial skills altogether can help support a gifted person's development and they're thriving in a more professional or workplace setting. Another very, very big, large psychosocial skill that gifted people need nurtured is their skill for motivation. Motivation is someone's drive, their ability to continue and persevere, especially toward goals they have for themselves. And in the work setting, we also like people to be motivated towards organizational goals. Talented people may not persevere if they do not believe they are able to succeed. Maybe they have imposter syndrome. If they do not receive important strategies or access to information. If they don't understand the connection between effort and successful performance. Or if they fear peer reaction from standing out or discussing their giftedness and neurodivergences. So these are things that we can help nurture in gifted people. Something else that's very important, especially for people that identify as twice exceptional, where they identify as both being gifted and having another exceptionality, such as a learning disability or a physical disability. The key problem does not lie with the disabling condition, but with an inability to confront the challenges associated with the disabling condition. So working to reframe exceptionalities for learners, for our gifted learners, and helping them realize that accommodations are more important than fretting about what they can and can't do. That's helping progress for their psychosocial skill development. Nauta and Corton also identified several strategies that gifted people might fall into with respect to life and career. The first strategy is they might be inconspicuous. They might have a low profile and limit their personal development. They may not be aware that they're highly intelligent, may consider themselves rather stupid, may function in simple jobs, but upon becoming aware of their giftedness, they might develop to one of the other types. The second strategy is accepted. This gifted person has established a connection with other people at their own level early on, which acts as a stimulus. They may not have had any major adaptation problems and may have gone through a normal personal development. They may work in a gifted environment with other gifted people, gifted students, gifted peers. They might be an advisor with a unique task or start up a business. The third strategy is social. This gifted person has discovered through experience that you can't achieve anything with intelligence alone. They actively raise their social skills to a high level and therefore are able to solve many adaptation problems. Social strategy gifted people may function well in jobs that are intrinsically multidisciplinary, once again, nurturing that multipotentiality. A fourth strategy they identified was confrontational. These gifted people might have checkered career histories. They may move from conflict to conflict and occasionally even get fired from positions. They may try to survive by placing emphasis on the quality of work, not their interactions with others. And they can progress to social or may find themselves in isolation later on. And the fifth strategy they identified was isolation, where the gifted person operates almost exclusively in a state of isolation and they run the risk of losing contact with society. So, our gifted students and adults might find themselves at any one point in one of these different strategies, navigating their social and professional environment. But we want to nurture their psychosocial soft skills. So, finally, I want to discuss strategies for soft skill building. To encourage motivation, we can help develop a growth mindset, nurture a sense of belonging, develop persistence and delayed gratification, encourage practice to bolster self confidence, allow for creative risk taking, and address fears, perhaps by using exposure therapy. For emotional self regulation, we want to nurture the ability to relax, help students recognize their emotional states themselves and others, practice mindfulness, think about ways to self soothe while considering overexcitabilities. And we want to nurture resiliency, developing confidence through small successes and positive and constructive feedback, and having harmonious relationships and support with people beyond friends and family, including teachers and mentors. For cognitive self regulation, we want to nurture the ability to focus and concentrate through mindfulness, cognitive training, a healthy lifestyle, including nutrition, sleep, exercise, and sun. We want to decrease information and sensory overload and address underlying issues. To nurture social skills and collegiality, we can encourage volunteerism, mentorship, internships, and apprenticeships, discourage students from being gossips or a diva, and give feedback on role playing exercises in business setting situations, such as having a mock interview. For metacognitive self regulation, we want to nurture time management, such as using electronic planning devices, using planners and calendars, and having a budget for time. And organizational skills, where students and adults model and rehearse organizational skills, practice contingency management, and we reinforce students to remember materials and follow through with communication. For our twice exceptional learners, we also want to nurture their social and soft skills, executive functioning, leisure skills, early identification of issues, accommodations of issues, and career exposure. So for next steps, I want you to consider what strategies will you try with the gifted people in your life or in your own life? What strategies are you going to use to nurture your own soft skills? Here are many references, and thank you. You can contact me at a variety of places, and thank you to Slides Carnival for this slides template. Have a great day.